Yo, what's up? Welcome to Numbers with Jacari. I'm your host, Jacari, but you already know, call me Ace. And in this episode, we're going over February, because happy February! Welcome to the real start of 2024 per se, because what was January? We gonna talk about what was January, why it felt like that, what was going on there, and also talk about the energy of this month ahead, as well as the portals that people are likely to bring up and days to look out for. So if you're liking what you're hearing, make sure you share it on your socials and tag me at Numbers with Jacari on Instagram or TikTok. All the direct links are in the description of this episode, and we're gonna go ahead and break it down. Now, why was January like that? January was a universal 9-month, and this is something that I brought up a couple months before it happened, actually. The way that we were ending 2023 and starting 2024 was going to be in a pattern, two reflections of 1 and 9. So November was a universal 9-month, December was a universal 1-month, January was a universal 9-month, and now February is in this universal 1-month. Now, one of the things that reflection will bring is an internalization. Now, reflections are two numbers that sit on opposite sides of the same vibration. So the reflection of 1 and 9 brings starts and endings, movement and stagnancy, socializing and isolation, stubbornness and action, awareness and dissociation, and things around transformation and transition. Now, I really want to focus in on that dissociation that 9 energy brings. It sort of kind of feels a little ungrounded and a little unstable. And that makes sense in regards to when it's a reflection back and forth like we just experienced from November to present day in February of we went from, instead of it being a 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way up to 9, it was going 9, 1, and 9, 1. And now we actually get to have a steady progression that feels a little bit more natural in regards to how numbers move. Of we go from 1 to 2 to 3 and so on, instead of this 9, 1, 9, 1. So in that dissociation, you, like I said, you don't feel that grounded. You feel a little bit uneasy, a little anxious, a little uncertain. And those are all things that 9 brings in its connection to the unknown. It's that last final digit. It's that last pure number. After we go to 9, we start over at 1 again. And when you get to that part, you release everything. It's a transition. It's a transmutation. It's allowing you to be free. And when you get to that ending, every ending to an extent has another beginning. But when you end something, you're letting go of everything that has gotten you to this point. So I encourage you to any of the things that just weren't really working out for you for the past couple months, let it go. Because we're now in a universal 1 month, which is ruled by the sun, and 9 is ruled by Neptune and Mars. So that dissociation, the delusion, the isolation, the illusion, the uncertainty, the movement, the chaos, the destruction, the recklessness, the impulsivity, I won't say it's in the past completely, but we might get a new peek into things this month. So I'm really excited for that. So that's sort of kind of why January was sort of kind of a little wonky, and also might have been a little bit reminiscent of last year being that 2023, especially in regards to the similarity in the Neptune rulership. Like I said, 9 is ruled by Mars and Neptune. Last year being a universal 7 year, 7 is ruled by Neptune, the South Node, and Mercury. So there's that similarity in energy. Now we're stepping into this universal 1 month, which is ruled by the sun. So there's a potential, there's a greatness, there's a brilliance, there's an action. But numbers do have duality. So there's also some inconsistency, a little bit of negativity towards self in regards to like self-doubt, destruction, sabotage, and so on. But there's also a domineering and a selfishness, and I really want you to focus in on a little bit to that selfishness and dominance, because that really heavily aligns with how 1 and 8, which is our universal year, that we're in a universal 8 year, that dominance and that authority is a very big theme for this year. So any anticipations for how we thought the year was going to start is possibly going to show itself in February. So I'm really excited to see how this is going to play out. Now, when we're talking about the universal months in regards to the universal years, we want to understand in what way these numbers connect. So like I said, we're in that universal 1 month, but we're in that universal 8 year. And how do they connect? Well, they both have very similar themes around power. But when they're combined, you also have that relationship between stability, taking the first steps towards larger goals. There are things that might impact long-term, ambition, discipline, consistency, and even recognition and themes around status. And this can look like maybe taking a leap in regards to a career or just trying something, a new idea, something that involves taking those steps to get something better. But again, duality, so their blend also brings an inconsistency, a self-doubt, imposter syndrome, procrastination, avoidance, stagnancy, and isolation. And because of one's connection to self, it can also bring in a level of getting in your own way, of how are you being overly selfish towards yourself, or how are you being overly domineering or overly authoritative towards yourself, and is it reflective of how your parents might have been authoritative to you? Are you giving yourself freedom in a way that you never have, and that's causing you it's bringing negative impacts towards you? So thinking about that, because also aids connection to trauma and also generational things. So we might get also some experiences around that in regards to 1 and 8's relationship. So that's going to be something to that's going to be something to look out for. But we're starting this month in a 1-2-8 energy. So like we already know, 1 is ruled by the sun, 8 is ruled by Saturn and Pluto, and 2 is ruled by the moon. Now, I really love 2 and 8 together because they reflect each other. Now, you might be a little on edge because we just went through all those reflection of 1 and 9, but the reflection between 1 and 8 is different, like all the other reflections. So we have the blend of 2 being this very emotional, empathetic, caring, nurturing number that is really prone and really attached to connectivity and community, whereas 8 can be a little bit more on the isolated side, the more I'm going to do this on my own, a little bit more taking charge, a little bit more leadership, authority, and things of that sort, that put it in a position where 2 and 8 start kind of looking at each other like, we got nothing in common, but opposites. That's really what reflections bring, is opposites. But when they come together, we get a highlight of boundaries, balance, stability, comfort, and safety, but also themes around neglect, isolation, exile, loss, and avoidance. So we have those that's how we're starting the month, and that's blended also with 1 and 2's relationship, and 1 is half of 2. So we have this solar versus lunar. So this highlights a movement and a rest, a self and community, and also that isolation or individuality and connection. So it's really interesting to see how much you, in regards to everything that you are as an individual, can play into the whole or play into your community this month, especially in starting with that 1-2-8 energy. So this brings the starting energy around community and also self, but also sustainability, accessibility, success, new beginnings, and connections. A little bit of planning is in there too, because we want to have a solid foundation for whatever we're trying to create. But this can also look like finding new people to bring into your community, and also gaining recognition or even building that community, but also the potential for anything to happen with that 1 energy in there. But again, duality. So we also have some neglect, we have some stalking in there, we have some isolation, we have some acting on obsessions, people pleasing, perfectionism, procrastination, avoidance, stubbornness, insecurity, imposter syndrome, and overall doubt. So as much as this month can bring literally anything because of this 1 energy, that ambition, that hopefulness, that optimism, it can also bring that disbelief in a sense of, no, it's not gonna happen. But what if it does? What if it does? So I encourage you this month to embrace that optimism, embrace that belief, and also embrace your support systems. And if you don't feel like you have them, begin to cultivate them. Find the people and really do that intentional work to figure out what it is you want out of the people that you surround yourself with, if that's something that you're seeking. And also finding a way to be a support system for yourself, because as much as 1 highlights an individual and that self and that consciousness of self, the blend that it's having with 2 in regards to community and connection, and then also that 8 is also in there because of the year we're in, it really encourages you to find that balance between your needs and others' needs. That's why people pleasing is in there, because we want to make sure that we're not overdoing it for other people and getting ourselves in a position where we're not getting enough. So figuring out your boundaries is very beneficial, and figuring out what you need separate from other people's needs, and also how you can support people in what they need as well. Now that's just how we're starting the month. So when we're getting into the impactful days of this month, considering it's Universal 1 month in a Universal 8 year, we want to look at some of the universal days that are likely to have a little bit more kick to them. Now, I will say that this is a general side, and if you want more specifics, which will give you context to how it's impacting your own personal numbers and what you're likely to experience this month, definitely tap in with me. I do provide readings, which you will find in the description, so definitely tap in. We'll get our free consultation started and then go from there so we can really get a good look into what this month is likely to impact for you. Now, how we calculate universal days, it's the same way you calculate your life path number, which is also called your destiny number or Vedic number, depending on which numerological system you're using, but it's for the calendar day, basically. So for this entire month, the most important days on a universal side are universal 2, 4, and 9 days. Then I say those days because of their relationality to the number 8. Because if you were to say universal 1 days, we're in a universal 1 month, and when you put a lot of 1 energy together, it can burn out very easily. It can be very much, and also if you put 2 1s together and you make it 11, that solar energy becomes lunar energy. So there's that difference in there's a change, there's a shift, there's an alteration that happens there that is no longer purely solar. But if you were to throw, let's say, a 3 in there, 3 and 8 don't have the most comfortable relationship, because 3 is like, let's do everything big, let's do everything extravagant, let's take up space, let's do it now, let's get it done. And it's very optimistic in a upfront sense. And 8 is a little bit more reserved, and it's a little bit more like, let's take our time, let's plan it out, let's look at all the details, let's get into the nitty-gritty. And 8 and 3 can sometimes not get along in that way. But that's a conversation for another day, getting into these universal days and why I like them. Now, universal 2 days, which will be the 1st, because that's where we're starting the month. The 1st, it will also be the 10th, the 19th, and the 28th. I love all of those universal 2 days because there's going to be a likely impact to family and community, comfort and patience, overall energy, internal power, autonomy. This is also a great day to work on boundaries, and things around money is also in there. But also on the flip side, we also have isolation, we also have avoidance, we also have procrastination. Autonomy's in there if I didn't mention that one, but also doubt. And on regards to the money side, instead of it being making money, there can also be a loss in money in regards to bills and expenses and things that impact your well-being. So that's something to be mindful of. But again, that similar energy to how we're starting that month in, we're carrying that out throughout the month, even up to the 2nd to the last day, because we do have 29 days in February this year. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out. Now, when we're getting to universal 4 days, this is really interesting because 4 is half of 8. Now, 4 is ruled by Uranus, the North Node, Saturn, and Mercury. So 8 and 4 share a Saturn rulership, actually. So that gives them both ability to connect to things around stability, security, routine, patience, and things of that sort. Reliance is also in there, but it also brings that ambition, also that faith, the desire to take action, internal power, a guided action, destiny and karma, stability, foundations, confidence, and also the ability to take that leap. So it's these are all good days, and these would be the 3rd, the 12th, and the 21st. Let me back up for a second, because the best days, or the most in regards to the day of the week, the universal day, the everything, taking all of the numerology I can get my hands on into account, the best universal 4 day is the 12th, actually. And the best universal 2 days are the 1st, the 10th, and the 19th. Those are the ones that I like the most. And when I say best loosely. I'll say rather, let me change that to impactful. Those are the most impactful in regards to these universal days. Now, back to universal 4 days. In this 148 energy, though we have access to all of these beautiful things in regards to destiny and action and stability, and themes around power is also in there, ambition, creativity is even in there. We also have access to anxiety and depression, overthinking, destruction, panic, imposter syndrome. So as good as this month ahead can be, it can also hit you where it hurts. Because 4, though it will pull the rug out from under you, it's typically pulling the rug out from under you because the rug is on fire. But it doesn't always feel like that in the moment. So in allowing yourself to really regulate, which is why, I don't even say why, but why it's beneficial to embrace the 2 energy we're starting this month in and take the rest that you need. And I think that's really funny as well, because 8 also emphasizes rest. Now, the way that they emphasize rest is different in the fact that 2's restfulness is more in taking care of others, and it can really struggle with taking care of itself. And 8 can be a little bit on the opposite of making sure you're taking care of yourself, instead of kind of being like, you know what, others, if they need it, I guess, but it's not the first priority. But also at the same time, it understands that by taking care of itself, it can and possibly could take care of other people. Now, if it actually does that, that's neither here nor there. So I really encourage you to, as big as this month ahead can be, allow yourself to take the time to do what you need to give yourself the stability that you need. Now, moving on to Universal 9 days, this is a very similar energy to that Universal 4 energy. 9 and 4 have a little bit of chaotic energy that is very similar, very destructive, very much movement focused. I want to take action. I want to do something. I want to go. 4 and 9 sit in that similar bag. So this creates an energy that is evoking of power, of ambition, of movement, of honor, and ultimately trusting the process. Because like we talked about at the beginning of this episode, was how 9 is that ending. So it's sort of kind of letting it all go. It's releasing it all so it can become something else, so it becomes something more even. So allowing yourself that freedom. And the most impactful day for that is likely to be on that 26th. But the 8th and the 17th can also bring it in there. But I would say that the 26th for this month is probably one of my favorite days. But also at the same time, with that 9 energy being all those beautiful things, there's also that impact to impulsivity, to rage, insensitivity, dissociation, and also destruction. So this also looks at how you are harming yourself, how your consciousness may be harming yourself. What around you that you're aware of is harming you? What do you need to step away from so you can show up better? Because if you are constantly doing one thing or even doing multiple things, and you're going, you're gonna burn out. You're gonna burn out. And the fact that we're starting this month in this 1, 2, 8 energy, I really feel like that's reminding you to take those breaks as you need them so you can show up in the best way that you need to show up. And if that, whatever that looks like for you is what that looks like for you. And if that's something that you want help with, tap in with me. That's something I do offer in regards to helping you build routines to fuel whatever you're trying to fuel, to do whatever you're trying to do, whatever that looks like. And think of it sort of kind of like a spiritual therapy. I feel like spirituality, your personal spirituality, really holds everything else together. That emotional, that physical, that mental spirituality is sort of kind of that glue. Now, in regards to the portals, before we get to the end of the month, we have that portal that could happen, that people might talk about on the 2nd, that 2-2 portal. It's happening on a Friday. It's a Universal 3 day. Now, we're gonna have Universal 1 month, we're gonna be on a Universal 3 day, and a Universal 8 year. 1, 3, 8. 8 and 3, I already talked about it. They don't really work the best together. They can bring some, authenticity, some expression, some creativity, but it can also bring some adversity, some disagreements, some mistrust, some overindulgence. So, it's not my favorite day, is what I'll say. It's also happening on Friday, which brings also that Venusian energy into the bunch. So it's even more in the fact of, I only want to do things that feel good. So there's also that avoidance in there of like, you know what? If it's gonna hurt me, I don't really want to touch it. So this wouldn't be the ideal day, in my personal opinion, to necessarily dive deep into emotional work, because it's not gonna feel good all the time. I would say this is a great day, however, to embrace whatever artistic or pleasureful experiences, or even creative experiences that feel good. Just doing things that feel good on that Friday, just so that you're not stepping into that discomfort that Fridays and Venus don't really like too much. So just allow yourself to feel good. I wouldn't necessarily recommend too much deep emotional work or deep shadow work either. It's just I just feel like on the numerological side, it could hurt a lot more, is what I will say. Now, in regards to the 1, 2, what is that? Not 1, 2. 2, 1, 2. There we go. I was like, that don't sound right. Why don't that sound right? That 2, 1, 2 portal that's happening on the 12th on a Monday, that's a 1, 4, 8 day. So that is one of the days that I really do like out of the options of that 2, 2 portal, the 2, 12 portal, the 2, 22 portal. out of all of them, that's probably my favorite. Not even gonna hold you. That's probably my favorite because it gives you the stability of 4 and 8's relationship, and 1 and 4 work great together. They both love to move, to change, to shake things up in the best way possible. Now, they both come with some anxiety. They both come with some intrusive thoughts, some imposter syndrome, some uncertainty, some self-doubt. Those are all mixed in there because, we got to take the bad with the good sometimes. And we'll get through it. It's going to be okay. But I think this is a great day. This is also going to be on a Monday. This is a great day for setting intentions, being patient with yourself and others, believing in yourself. So a lot of positive self-talk of as you catch yourself being like, you know what, this ain't working. No. It hasn't worked yet. It's going to work. It just ain't work right now. That's fine. It's fine. So listen to your emotions, allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. But as you fall into spaces of doubt, see how you can help yourself and see how you can support yourself in that moment. Because also, sometimes pulling yourself out isn't also the thing that you can do. And I was actually watching a documentary today. And by all means, if you'd like to hear more about this documentary or you want me to tell you what it was, or tell you more about it, it's The Playbook, I want to say, on Netflix if you want to check it out. And it's going over a bunch of different coaches, a lot of well-known coaches in different industries. And one of the episodes, the person being interviewed brings up the 24-hour rule and basically is going over whether they win or they lose as a team. You got 24 hours to bask in it, whatever it is. And in regards to the self-doubt for this month that might come up, you got 24 hours. I feel like that's ample time to really sit in it. I mean, like, sit in it. 24 hours. Give yourself that time, because I think that sometimes when you move on from your emotions or you ignore your emotions for too long, it messes you up in the long run. So maybe try something different. Give the 24-hour rule a try and see how it plays out. Because as much as you can believe in yourself this month and you can pull yourself at those negative thoughts, the 2/12 portal that's happening on that Monday can also bring a level of indecisiveness, mistrust, anxiety, and overstimulation. So I say give the 24-hour rule a try. Now, that last portal, that 2/22 portal, is happening on a Thursday, and it's going to have a 1/5/8 energy. Again, not my favorite. 5 and 8 they're against each other, but they're sort of kind of also in their own spaces. 5 is very heavily in the mind. Very heavily in the mind. It's communication, it's comprehension, it's understanding, it's knowledge, it's adventure, it's movement, it's change. And 8 is very physical. It's very tangible. It wants to look at what we can actually see and go based off of that. So that can bring a little bit of tension in those spaces and a little bit of confrontation and uncertainty and anxiety and disbelief in those spaces. But at the same time, there's a foundation for intellectual pursuits, for growth, for learning, for adventure. So, like I said before, taking the bad with the good, the good with the bad, all above. Now, you can do without what you choose. If you want to know that personal impact, again, tap in with me. But getting into that last day of February, we have the month ending in a 1/3/8 energy. Now, with that being the end, 1 and 3 work really great together. They bring this creativity, this optimism, this confidence, this trust, an awareness, and expansion. But also at the same time, there's that doubt, there's that social anxiety, a restlessness, and a reactiveness, a perfectionism. But also, when we bring 3 and 8 together, it highlights a confidence, a knowledge, an ambition, a leadership, and awareness. But on the other side, the indecisiveness, the uncertainty, the doubt, the avoidance, the ignorance. So we're closing out this month in a space of possibly admiring of what we created, or even the confidence to keep moving forward and taking the steps, and even a hopefulness to what's to come. But also with the fact that 3 is bringing this optimism and 8 is bringing this pessimism, this can also be that uncertainty around what's to come. This can also be the lack in one's belief of your own skill, so imposter syndrome, but also a perfectionism that is stimulating procrastination of if it's not perfect, I don't want to do it. So also asking yourself to look at what it is you're feeling internally and how it's fueling everything externally. So overall, for the month ahead, I want to leave you with being confident and take the leap this month. Trust the process and follow through. Sometimes we don't give enough time. And time is a very big theme for this year, considering it's universal 8 years. So take the time and always be yourself and express yourself, especially on those emotional and social and internal sides. Allow yourself to indulge in those spaces. Now, there is a chance for connection, but also isolation. But allow yourself to see the benefits of both, the pros and cons kind of looking at both sides, because sometimes that change of perspective really does change everything. Now, I will say that intrusive thoughts might have an extra kick this month, so that doubt, the uncertainty, the imposter syndrome, but like I said before, that 24-hour rule might just work this time. But also make sure you're not putting off the things that you need to get done, because one of the things that 8 doesn't like to play with is time. So if you've been putting it off, make sure you're not putting yourself in a position where it might get a little bit rougher. Now, I am absolutely looking forward to this month ahead, because, January had a little bit of kick to it that I really liked. It was a little uncomfy. I didn't really enjoy myself, but we made it through. And I'm proud of me, and I'm proud of you, because we both made it. So I hope that this month ahead is everything and more that you're hoping it to be. And also, what if it does work out? What if it's the most amazing month of your life thus far? You never know. The only way is to find out. So, thank you for listening. Share this with somebody who you think would benefit from learning about the numerology of February 2024. And if you're interested in how this impacts your personal numbers, tap in with me. I do provide services, and I would absolutely love to help you figure out whatever it is you want numbers to help you figure out. But follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Numbers with Jacari, and I will definitely catch you in the next one. Peace.